Welcome, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. Last week I had a quilt retreat and I brought my snowflakes and picked out a background and proceeded to put the snowflakes on the background. Once I was done, I realized I needed to design the layout for the quilt and the borders for the quilt with the finished background that was already completed. See how I did this during this week's tutorial. I've opened Electric Quilt and I'm going to select Open an Existing Project and select my paper snowflakes and select OK. Now, one of the things that I want to do is convert the blocks that I actually did in a block format to a motif format. So to do that, I'm going to be in the Blocks tab. I'm going to find one of my colored blocks, select it, and select Edit. Now we can see that it is a combined Polydraw and Applique. So I'm going to go to the Applique tab and I'm going to select the Pick tool and I'm going to do a Control or a Command plus the A key, and that's going to select everything on my screen. And in the Edit toolbar, I'm going to do an Edit Copy and I'm going to do a new block, Applique Motif. Now I'm going to make sure I still have the Pick tool selected and do an Edit Paste. And then I can select Center in Block and go to the Color tab. And now I can color my snowflake, and with my spray can I'm also going to color my background. Now I can't color the outside of the background, but I can color the inside, and it is important to do that because this really isn't see-through. These are actually patches, so even though I will not applique those particular pieces on, I'm just going to applique the white on, I need to show them for this to work. So I'm going to add this to the project sketchbook. Now from the home screen, I'm going to select Design a Quilt from Scratch. And I'm going to do a new quilt, horizontal. And when I appliqued my snowflakes onto the background, I measured it and realized that the final size that I need to work with is 24 by 8. So I'm going to change the number of blocks to 1 by 1. And I'm going to change the width to 24 inches, and I'm going to tab over and change the height to 8 inches. And then in the Design tab, I'm going to go to the Fabric tools, and I'm going to first of all just color my background. And this represents the fabric that I used to sew my snowflakes on. Now I'm going to go to Layer 2, and in the block tools I'm going to do a set block, but I'm going to go to motifs and I'm going to find that's one of those snowflakes, and I'm going to drag that onto layer 2. Now with the adjust tool I'm going to change its size. When I cut those with the size of 7.75 by 7.75, and so I'm going to change this first one. And then I'm going to do another set block, and I'm going to drag the next two on layer 2 as well. Now I need to resize those. One way I can do that is with the adjust tool. I'm going to select the correctly sized one first, and then with my shift key I'm going to select the other two so they're all selected. Now under my options I have the ability to select same width and same height. So the 3 have now all been resized to 7 3/4. Now I can select each of these, and with the Control or Command key select the center of the patch, and I can do some additional rotations. And this is just to find something that is appealing. And so once I've got that done, I'm ready to design borders. Now I'm going to go to the border tab, and the border that I wanted to play with is the one called Points In. And I have the lock size adjustment set to all, so I'm going to change this to 3, and I can click on my slider bar and it will change all 4 of them at once. And I decided to have in the vertical blocks, I'm going to bring that down to 2, and for the horizontal I'm going to bring it up to 6. Now I can go back to the design tab, and with the fabric tools, and I'm going to go to layer 1, and I'm going to color the whites, and I'm going to color the outsides with the backgrounds. And if you use the control key, that can go really fast. Now when I go to print and export, each of these patches is treated as a separate block. So we can see that this is 4 by 3 and this is 3 by 4, which means they are exactly the same size. I have heard requests from people that have said, how can I foundation piece that? And one way to do this is to create a block that basically replicates this particular layout. So what I'm going to do is go to my block work table, and I'm going to do a new block, pieced, easy draw block. And for this, if you recall, there were 6 points. And so I'm going to select a width that is equal to 6 points or easily divisible by the 6 points. So let's just do 12. And for the height, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and use 2 inches. So it doesn't have to be the actual size of the block, but this is just for design purposes. And I'm going to set my snaps at 12 by 4. And EQ has the smallest snap setting at 3, so 4 will work for me. And then for the graph paper, just so it's a little bit easier to see what I'm doing, I'm going to set that at 12 by 2 as well and turn that on. For my snapping options, I just want snap to grid on. Now I will select the line tool, and using the grids as a guide, draw all these V blocks basically that are right next to each other. And this can go really fast. And now I can go to the color tab and I can color this, and I can add this to the project sketchbook. And I'm going to do another one, new block, pieced, easy draw for the side, and I'm going to use 4 by 2, change my snaps to 4 by 4 and my graph paper to 4 by 4. And for this one, I just need the 2 V's at the top. Go to color and color that, and add that to the project sketchbook. Now back at my quilt work table, I'm going to go ahead and add this to the project sketchbook, but I'm going to go to the border tab. And this border, I'm going to change it to a different style. And I'm going to change it to the style or corner blocks. Now when I go to the design tab and I select block tools, set block, I am going to go back to the blocks tab, go to the end, and I can take these newly designed border blocks and set them in my quilt. I need to do a couple rotations, color those outside border pieces again. Now when I go to print and export and I select that block, it's now treated as one unit. And so from a foundation perspective, it's one unit, and I can print it out and I can foundation piece it. And I can do a preview to see what it's going to look like. So I can now quickly create this border. For additional tips and techniques, and to learn about additional electric quilt class offerings, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter at www.onpointquilter.com.